It's 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, and we are driving out of Banff, heading for Colombia Falls in the States. So today we will cross the border. And we've got about 5.5 hours driving. It's our longest driving trip of the whole.
Turn left, Trans Canada Highway 1 westbound towards Lake Louise.
Coming into a town called Radium Hot Springs, which is famous for its springs of hot water. And you can swim in.
We're on the road from Canada, heading towards the Canadian border to head back over to the US in Glacier National Park. Mum's at the wheel. It's flattened out a lot. Still some mountains around, but not quite the same size as before.
Our first glimpse of some cattle. And we're getting very close to the border. 3 k's between British Columbia and going into Montana at the border. A lot drier than where we've come from. Here's the border crossing into Montana. A bit of a queue. You can see the borderline running up the hillside between British Columbia and Montana. It's as dry as anything here.
We've crossed the border. We are in Montana, USA.
With the Glacier Bank.
It's currently 77 Fahrenheit.
Fuel is $3.50 a gallon.
But if you don't use your credit card, it's $2.79.
Our first stop in Montana. We have found ourselves in a little historical village called Tobacco Valley, where a lot of old historical buildings have been moved. We're heading for Colombia Falls. We've just come out of Whitefish in the area of Glacier National Park. Like driving into Glacier National Park. It's about 7:45 in the morning.
Friday, August 31.
You might be able to see the yellow school bus going past. heading for East Glacier National Park, and we seem to be following 2 or 3 green fire trucks.
West Glacier entrance has been closed with bushfires for 3 or 4 days. And the road we want to do is totally closed, so we're having to travel around the outside of the park to get to the opposite entrance.
And this will take us about 2 hours there and 2 hours back. This is nothing as bad as Gastertoppen. And now you can see where we are headed. Steep descent, 1.5 miles down. Yeah. for a place called Browning, where apparently you can see bison grazing. It's taking us about 15 miles off our path, but we're curious to see if we can just see them from the road. Having the sinking feeling that they could be anywhere. Hoping to see the bison, but not today. We're walking along the Huckleberry Trail to a lookout. It's a very long trail and we're not going to do it all, but it's particularly pretty walking through this part of the forest. And before we leave the States, I guess we'll have to have a taste of huckleberries somewhere, and there's a lot of places in town advertising huckleberry pie, so that might be the thing to do. Yeah, it is.
Alrighty, so we're looking at a huckleberry bush, and in here we have some huckleberries. Looks a bit like a blueberry. And come up here, tastes very nice. So these are huckleberry bushes. So if you look up through, all the red and green, that's all huckleberry bushes. We're looking down on the western side of Glacier National Park. There's a big fire burning down the bottom here. This is why the road's closed. And off in the distance, I don't know if you can see it on the video, but you can actually see some glaciers coming down the mountains in the background. So we are halfway along our hike. We've done about 6 kilometres, and this is the view down the valley behind us.
On the Huckleberry Trail, and we think that we're getting closer to the end because the track has flattened out a bit. We're full of huckleberries, even though you're only meant to eat no more than half a cup a day out of the park. We've crossed the saddle at the top of the ridge, and now we're walking horizontally around the mountainside to get to the viewpoint at the end. David's doing really, really well.
Anya, we didn't know you could make it this far, Mum.
Neither did I.
Back into the huckleberry bins. the mountains in the distance is British Columbia, Canada. Okay, here's the lookout that we're heading towards.
We're nearly there. You can see the lookout tower. British Columbia on my right, Montana on my left. We're in Glacier National Park on the Huckleberry Trail. Nearly to the end of it, and then we turn around and walk the 10 miles back. But it will all be downhill.
So we've made it to the top, and here is our view. British Columbia to the north.
So we've made it all the way to the top, and it's been a pretty nice walk, not too steep.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy going walk actually. We've done harder walks, just a long walk.
We saw a dozen or so bears and they just ran away when they saw us. Didn't even have to deal with them.
10 o'clock on Sunday morning, September 2, and this is Summit Lake on our trip across this morning to the little town of Butte, a town of 34,000 people. We're at a historic working ranch. Just been over to see the smithy there on the right, and that's the historic home over behind.
Pretty tall. They're like trippids.
Different wagons. Horse stables.
After 400 yards, go straight on I-15, I-90, S Montana Street.
We're about 50 miles out of Yellowstone National Park.
27 degrees, not a cloud in the sky.
And we've just had lunch at Subway, a footlong salad roll for $4.99. Here's some accommodation on the right, some teepees.
Yellowstone, so about 15 k's.
We're driving through a little town called Gardner, which is just outside the north entrance to Yellowstone. Coming into the park entrance at North Yellowstone.
It's 29 degrees.
We've bought our annual park pass for $80 for all the parks in this country.